Alright, so on What Would Jack Do, a group that I was assigned an admin position in. It's a small group. I've pretty much grown about half of the group myself, but, I share things there sometimes. Sometimes it's a group share thing where I share to 35 groups and pages all at once. And so Jared assumes that I posted something about Mohammed marrying a 9-year-old girl. And it's possible I did. I don't think I did, but because I do this group share thing through a application that I use, and that's one of the groups I share to, it's very possible I did. I just don't recall doing it, and he has no evidence that I did it, and he's not even sure that I did it. What he's doing is saying that I should be censored. I should be removed as admin from the group. I shouldn't be able to post there. And then I posted to him, I said, well, Jack, because he was saying Jack wouldn't like this kind of posting, blah, 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 this isn't conducive to the group. And I said, well, Jack may not have liked that post, but I'll tell you what he really doesn't like is these I502 systems and the I502 stores and the monopolies. I know he wouldn't like that. I know he wouldn't condone that because one of his last speeches at Hempstock in 2009, he said as much. And I posted the link to that. And so Jared took that as me saying that Jack Herer wouldn't like him. And I said, no, you're misrepresenting me. And this is his, response here to this. He's justifying, well, I don't like big corporations. I don't like I502 monopolies. I don't like this and that. But, this place that I work for, one of these I502 stores, they sell my shirts and give me money, so I have to promote them or whatever. I guess that's his theory here. That's what he's trying to say. Anyway, what I got to, I wanted to say to him, I think the exact thing I said at What Would Jack Do after you called for censoring me is that Jack Herer would not support monopolies. One of the last things he said on stage at Hempstock is that he didn't believe in giving government, quote, $1 of taxes, unquote, from cannabis. You mentioned that my speech, assuming that I posted the cartoon about Mohammed's 9-year-old wife without any evidence, was not allowed on that group. I said as much as Jack may not like that cartoon, I am positive he wouldn't like the promotion of I502. And so Jared works for an I502 store and he promotes it. That's all I was saying. I didn't say anybody would or wouldn't like him. And then I said, you were right, no one should speak for Jack. People that personally knew Jack have commented here and on the post from What Would Jack Do and have given insight to what he stood for. In fact, the admin of said Facebook page, Donna Lambert, Donna Lambert has a banner about how Jack would be rolling in his grave over UMA in California. Jack was very opposed to this highly regulated markets and these attempts to monopolize cannabis. If anyone knows anything about Jack Herer, is that Jack despised cannabis monopolies and highly regulated markets. So my reply to Jared and What Would Jack Do in regards to a post that had a cartoon about Mohammed and one of his young wives, where Jared insisted that that was inappropriate and somehow without evidence tied me to the post, I was just replying in kind, quote, well, if this isn't representative of Jack Herer, I would at very least like to point out that it is highly unlikely that Jack Herer would be cool with you promoting pop monopolies. The difference is that I was not calling for censorship or removing anyone as editor. I was merely making a point. Jared was insisting that I be removed as editor, which, whatever, I have enough social media sites to admin as is. I just saw a lot of hypocrisy in Jared's criticism, and I was pointing it out. I said updated. I had a lot of mistakes from using my tiny little keyboard that I corrected, so I must have edited that back on July 31st. I said, I will concede Jared has done a lot of good. I have never meant to deduct from any of that. This was merely a response to another attempt to censor me. Jared and I have been through this before. It's the bias and identity politics that sort of disrupt my respect for Jared. On some things, Jared is a very stand-up and straightforward guy. On other topics, it's hard to pin down what he believes in. So if censorship is good when someone is off topic, should the same approach be taken? Remove their speech or demote them as editor? Or does it only apply to people or topics that you personally disagree with? I often see your topics varying, even on these pro-pot groups, to things that are other than cannabis, such as Eat the Rich or We Need the UBI. Jared, you are not always on topic either, but I don't feel like you need to be censored because of it. Got goes on and on. Or I said, or when you criticize Christians or Republicans, shall those types of personal attacks on people or blanket insults on groups of people be considered grounds for you being treated the same way that you would attempt to treat people who disagree with Muhammad or his followers, taking a 9-year-old bride? I mean, at least admit that you have done your fair share of shitposting against Christianity. And then there's one more response that I just left because I just read it. It's been like 7 or 8 days. But I checked on it tonight, seeing if anything has changed here. Let's see. That's one of them. But that's not the one I'm looking for because I just posted it. Oh yeah, right here. Oh yeah, here we go. And so Philip Dowdy, of course, he's got bipolar issues. He's bouncing all over the place when I see his posts, but he says, F those assholes, and Jared says, it's Ryan Thompson. You might remember him from Sensible Washington. Barely, the Spokane folks were a bunch of drama heads, not signature gatherers. Jared says, Ryan was a good legalizer. He's also a hardcore libertarian. And then he says, he's a Christian and anti-everything other than Christian. And Philip says, Christians suck. This is part of the reason why nobody wants to work with these legalizers or whatever they call themselves. I said to Jared, this is the last thing I wanted to mention. I said, Jared, thanks for the kind words, but don't misrepresent me. I married a Wiccan. When my wife and I married, she was Wiccan. I didn't have any requirements of her being Christian either. She eventually, got baptized as a Christian, but that wasn't a requirement. I married her when she was a pot-smoking Wiccan. I had no beef with that at all. I said, for 6 years, I was Wiccan myself. I lived with a Krishna Hindu family for 2 years. I made this video 6 years ago that clears up what I do believe, and I do respect other faiths. I said, I think Darwin's work is racism and sexism. I think teaching it in public universities is a form of systematic racism. I think Muhammad was a sex offender. But I have Muslim friends and colleagues, and they are nice, and they don't believe in marrying 9-year-olds. And my video here, this is from 6 years ago, Different Faith, Same God. I talk about all the different faiths that I believe are, leading to the same end result, the same God, the same creator, the same, overall goal. And, I've said this for years, for, at least 15 years of my life, I've said the same thing, and which is why I didn't require my wife, when I met her as a Wiccan, to convert to Christianity, and I'm still good with it. If she decided tomorrow to be Wiccan again, her and I wouldn't have a problem, Anyway, so I just wanted to clear that up. These people that go out of their way to offend Christians and, like this guy saying Christians suck. I mean, over 70% of Americans are Christian. I think it's 73% of Americans are Christian. And over 60% of Americans are Republican. So when they start going back and forth about how they hate Christians, they hate Republicans, this and that, what they're doing is pushing away at least half of the voting public. Here's one response. McGill says, Jack sold books and pipes. And I said, but he did not support regulations that kept others out of the market of selling books, pipes, or cannabis. I wish I could find that other post that I made about pointing that out, that when it comes to pushing people out of, this guy says, seems like all the weed warriors have done in recent years is fuck shit up for everyone, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, what I said is the divide and conquer attitude. Conservatives suck. Christians suck. Business owners suck. Point is, when you alienate 60% plus of voters and push them away, things like Sensible Washington fail. So that's the end of that. I just wanted to point that out. HempFest is coming up. Remember, it's not Felony Fest, and Don't roll a big joint there, or you'll get the cops called on you by HempFest. Peace out.